covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Welcome in, fans of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast. On today's edition of Turf Talk, your show where you get to talk to folks from around the league, players, coaches, personnel, the folks that help make the league run, and the folks that are working in and out and around the clock for another amazing NAL season. Today, we are pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Columbus Lions, Jason Gibson himself. Coach Gibson, glad to have you on board again. And we had you on last season, kind of towards the end there, and we get to have you on once more of a midpoint this time, and really catching you during a bye week, getting to kind of reset yourself. How have things been getting a week off and trying to put it lightly, regroup?
When you lose, it sucks. So it makes it a lot longer. But no, I was good. I mean, I don't know. Bye weeks now I'm spoiled. We have a game, we have a bye. We have a game, we have a bye. So I went on vacation last week. I ain't been on vacation probably 2-3 years. So I dropped everything and told the guys, I'll see you in a week. Go home. See you on Monday. And it worked out pretty good.
Fair enough. I mean, hey, look, I mean, we know, obviously week 4 against the Sharks was, it was its own this is an interesting contest, as I could say the least. But
you guys are being polite. That's the worst offensive game I've ever been a part of in probably 25 years.
Well, I mean, we were gonna ask, because I mean, what can you take us on going into that process of that game? Because I mean, there seemed like there was a lot, like last minute wise, we understood that kind of went into preparing to play against Jacksonville in that instance. What was going on, like at least the days leading up for that contest?
I mean, just Darren got in a car accident, which didn't help. Coming off a bye week, we played really bad against San Antonio. I mean, really bad. So I was already livid about that. And then we show up to Jacksonville and we played twice as bad. Coupled with the fact, they got their back against the wall. They're at home. It was a perfect storm. It's like I told everybody before. Everybody laughs. You know what? I'm terrible in basketball, but every once in a while I'll make a three-pointer. So it happens. It is what it is.
Sometimes off nights, just the way they are.
It's good. It's good for the league. It was good for the crowd, and see, that's, the difference with me is, I really care about the league. I want the league to have success. It doesn't do any good. Last year, it was just us and Albany, and everybody else really was just playing football. And it's not good for the fans. I think this year, I mean, honestly, anybody can win at any given point. If you don't show up, you lose. There's no dominant team. There's no dominant quarterbacks. And that's probably the major difference this year is the parity, in my opinion. But
fair points there. Fair points. A quarterback yourself, actually, because I mean, you bring up a hot topic for you guys coming into the season. Yeah. I mean, Mason Espinoza, he's off to greener pastures now, offensive coordinator over at DePaul. You guys have to make that quick decision. Obviously, Darren gets in early going. I mean, take us through it, at least on your end. We've gotten a bit from Mason, but for you, well, I mean,
Mason calls me. I think he got notified really, really late. So, that's great for him. We got a great relationship anyway. So he called me the day of training camp, the first meeting of training camp, about 6 hours from the meeting. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not coming." I'm like, what? I didn't have no quarterback signed. We couldn't even practice on Saturday because when I reached out to Darren, he had to work. So I pulled out my little pea shooter and I threw the ball for 2 days just to get us through training camp. And Darren comes in off the bench, and and Darren's a winner. Darren's not there's not Tommy Grady, Mason Espinosa's of the world. They're just not out there anymore. There's not enough AF2, AFL football to develop those types of players. Most college programs and high school programs develop read option quarterbacks anyway. So they don't develop the pure pocket, sit in there type guys. The good thing about Darren is a really good quarterback, but he's came off his job and just picked up a football and started playing. And the best compliment I always have for Darren is, care how the ball looks coming out. I don't care. He's a winner. He's a winner. And somehow, some way, he figures out how to win games. Does he throw picks and make me lose more hair than I already don't have? Hell yeah. But he's a winner. And so you got to decide on that. And of course, then we brought Danny in, Darren being hurt. maybe just give a little competition because I was carrying one quarterback. And Danny walked into a storm of holy cow. I mean, coupled with bad play calling, we did way too many 5-step drops. I mean, if I didn't lay this thing out on a perfect platter for Jacksonville to kick the living crap out of us, I don't know who did, but I did it. And they're welcome. So, but then they took advantage of it. And Danny made some good arena throws, but can't make him on his back. So we had some issues there. And to be honest with you, to play that bad, we had the ball 12 times, only scored 3 touchdowns. I don't think I've seen that in JV football in high school. And we were only down by 2 possessions in the fourth quarter with the ball.
Right. That's
what's scary. If I'm playing, if our defense gets that many sacks and that many turnovers, we're up by 40. So I guess that was maybe the shining light from my end is again, I remember in the fourth quarter, I was standing there, I looked up and like, holy cow, we're only down by 2 possessions. Are you kidding me? I feel like I was down by 200 possessions. And so that's kind of where we're at. And then had a chance on the bye week to sit back and evaluate both. And honestly, I built the offense for Mason. That's what we did. Every year, my offense changes and evolves based upon the players we have. It is not, this is what I do, this is what I run, no matter what. If you can't run it, you're the problem. No, if you can't run it, I'm the problem. I need to teach you better, or we got to change it up. And so understand the personnel that we have. I've got to figure out a way to get those big, beanstalks that I have in football. I've got everybody in the league's got good receivers. Okay. Everybody's got good receivers. There's, Kendrick Ings is great. Darius Prince is really good. Outlaw's really good. I like number 5 from San Antonio. He's a burner. That kid can play.
Or came up.
Khalid Rashad is really,
Khalid Rashad, yes.
He's shown up.
I really like him. So there's some really good receivers, but top to bottom, I've got the best, and I can't get them the ball. And so, that's what we spent this whole week on is you'll see a completely different offense. I feel bad for all of them. They're going to watch film something we ain't even doing. So, but that's what's good. You evolve and you tailor to what we have at quarterback and what we can do, and go from there. So hopefully we'll see a huge, a drastic change come Saturday night.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Albany, there's a series that just dropped that is available for everyone to go listen, watch. Is Inside the Lines. You guys have a history with the Albany Empire, especially that series. Literally describes it, shows you what was going on. Is that a rivalry started between you two, between Albany and the Columbus Lions, based on the interaction from last season?
You know what? I didn't even finish watching the series yet. Don't tell nobody.
Well, you
I can hear Aiden screaming right now.
No, it's not that. It's not that, man. It's just here. Bottom line is, man, I got a great wife, man, and me and her thick as thieves, and she loves watching it. And we haven't had the time to watch it together, and I'm not going to watch it ahead of her. So me and her are going to watch it together, and I just haven't had the time to watch the last, I think, 4 episodes. I think my last episode we watched was maybe the Orlando game, maybe. Okay. I think so. But anyway, rival with Albany, I don't see it that way, to be honest with you. They just happen to beat us 3 times with Tommy Grady.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Shots fired. It's good.
I see.
To the fans out there, Inside Lions is out. It's a documentary series I've covered all last year for the Columbus Lions. You get to see characters, players of that team that, as a opposing fan, going inside that your organization really, fundamentally puts how can I phrase this? I've always said on the show that it's the Coach Gibson way. Your program is designed to win. No matter what the score is, you and your organization always has a chance to win. People bash me, but I'm going to say, hey, since they've been in NAL, they've played in championships, they've played in the playoffs, and haven't missed. So that documentary season really shows me what I believe the organization is in Columbus, is that you and Josh Blair and the ownership group each year, no matter even this season, 2-1, and people think it's doom and gloom in Columbus. You have a winning record right now. That you, Coach, are leading the way to build how this franchise is created as a championship contender, no matter what the record is. during the season. Right now, you're 2-1, and a lot of people think it's doom and gloom and that the program is falling apart. I wish my team was 2-1 right now, but we're 1-4, and not coming off.
He's feeling the sting a little more. You got to understand.
Yeah. I was happy with that. I was happy with the win a couple of weeks ago. Then last week, and not really. That's a wake up call again. But Coach, the one thing I wanted to say is you have adjusted so far this season with Mason, the Darren, the Southwick. How does that change each and every week, knowing in this game next week you can have completely different players because of how the Arena League is judged and managed by all these organizations?
Well, I mean, I looked at the roster actually this morning, and you think about, I lost Lockett, I lost Mason, I lost Peterson, I lost a big blow, huge blow was Corey Crawford.
That's right. Yeah.
So I lose 4 players that are as good as anybody in the league, and we're still 2-1. It's like you said. Trust me. I think I was more embarrassed after the game in Jacksonville than I was mad. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because, they played well. I knew they needed it. I was happy for the league. I was happy for the Jacksonville fans. I enjoy going to Jacksonville because they represent what it's about, along with the Columbus fans. They really have a passion for it. You just happen to have a lot more of them. But it was good for the city. It was good for the league, and that's what I was about. But I was so embarrassed with that loss just because the way we performed, the way some of the things that I did too. I mean, trust me, I didn't go into a meeting and point at all the players and you SOBs, you did that. No, I mean, there's some self-evaluating as well, and that's a good thing. So, but then again, as I got on the bus, I thought about it. Would I rather be 2-1 and be embarrassed, or 1-4 and feel good for tonight? Yeah, I'll take 2-1. So, that's kind of how it was. But you're right. I mean, I've got 3 or 4 players already lined up for next week after this game coming in. I've got guys on my radar that I'm just waiting for something to fall through. So waiting for their job or waiting for their this and that. And we'll continue to build, and somehow, some way, at the end of the season, we're going to figure out a way to be where I don't have to win the first 3 or 4 games. I just got to win the last 2. And so I just try to prepare our team for that, and really go for there. I do look at some of the matchups. Don't get me wrong. When you play teams 3 times, that's important because you have to get that rubber match so you can get a leg up on the tiebreaker. So I'm conscious about that. But right now it's about teaching. I mean, this week, we watch Albany. We know what we're going to do, and we know what they're going to do. But I'm just really focusing on what we have to do and how do we teach the game so our players are better equipped to be, to be successful. It really is what it's about. And so we'll figure out a way. Well, we do, and it's a long season, and it's managing that. And I felt like I recruited really well for the Ironman. I knew 6'5", 350-pound linemen weren't going to be effective. So I knew that, and that's how we recruited.
Right. I mean, and you're kind of tying into what I've been wanting to ask. Coaching the Ironman game year over year. I mean, it's a completely different conversation this year compared to last when we talk now. It's again not as much specialized players. We're talking guys for the majority of this roster that can, they can either play the majority of the game, they can play both sides, or they're going to be ready to go whenever they're called upon. The most of them are the everyman. I guess that's another term we could use there. We've described it on our show. We look around the league. There's guys that build Ironman teams. There's guys that take the talent and they try and make it where it's best rotations for the Ironman. We've dubbed your guys as building for an Ironman roster. Do you see yourself as that? Absolutely.
I mean, when they had this vote, Columbus was the only team that voted against it.
Oh,
for the league. We lost 5-1. I knew that when the league went Ironman, in my opinion, I thought it was going to eliminate about 60 to 70% of the veteran players in the league. And so when I started looking at what I was going to recruit and how I was going to recruit, to me, it was more about athletes and less about position specific. So I wasn't out looking for a center. I wasn't out looking for a tackle. I was out looking for athletes. I was out looking for guys that can just flat out run. And to be honest with you, I figured I watched what Jacksonville did the second time we played them. And I noticed it was pretty either smart or they watched what we did, because we had a bunch of small little teeny guys on the D line. The second time we played Jacksonville, he had Hicks playing the D line, he had Johnson playing the D line. Whereas, I don't want a big tackle turnaround pass rushing. So those are the things you look at. You look at different players in the league. I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to disrespect anybody.
Sure.
There's certain players that are extremely high-level players at their position. There were certain players in the league that were vets that they were the best at their position. I wasn't going to touch them just because I knew they couldn't play offense, or I knew they couldn't play defense. And you look at playing a guy Iron Man, all of a sudden now you take a great player like Devin Wilson, which I think the world of Devin. I love the way he plays, man. But then you play him Iron Man, all of a sudden now there's only 12 possessions in the game, okay, for the most part. All of a sudden now he's playing 6 on offense, because unless they're going to play him every time. So you're taking a quality premier player, and instead of him getting 12 offensive series, now he's only getting 7 or 8.
Right.
So now you're limiting his opportunity to score touchdowns. So now if he's only playing 7 or 8 possessions, if I can limit him to scoring on 5 or 6 of them, hey, I got a chance. I got a chance to win. And so that's how I look at it. And so it's just different.
God, I'm going to keep pushing this phrase we use on the show, the possession economy. It's so important for this. I think that was a perfect highlighting of it right there. And I've not only arena, that's another thing. You have to be more conditioned. You have to be able to keep that motor going throughout the game. So guys like a Wilson, which, early season, we were wondering, and this has been the biggest challenge for us is, specialists, how do each team use that specific position? And it's actually been, for us, in some ways, thrown for a loop. We've been shocked at what teams have done. Carolina, we talked with Coach Rez, previously a few weeks back, and, he's got the center play. He's got Ziegler playing center as a specialist, and that took us aback. So, I mean, I completely understand your point. Like, that's our challenge here, and
it's weird watching everybody do different specialists, because I remember, I started playing in '96 actually with the Albany Firebirds.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was on the practice squad with Albany. Of course, back then it was 2A, and then into AF2 with the Carolina Cobras. I don't ever remember in all those years playing Iron Man of people having a specialist on the offensive line. It was always the offensive specialist was always the receiver. Always. And the centers went both ways, and all the tackles went both ways. And then you look at it now, I tell you what the problem is. One, it's a money thing, and it's an availability thing. The hardest person to find is a two-way guy. And if they're out there, when you think about being a pure athlete and being able to play both sides of the ball, if you're really, really good, the other leagues are going to snatch you up, and we've got some really good guys in our league that deserve that opportunity, and they'll get it. But trying to find those guys, it was a lot easier back when I played, because you were paying a guy $75,000 a year. You can find anybody. I remember Brandon Hall for the LA Avengers used to coach for us. He was a two-way guy. He was making $75,000 a year. Of course, it's not like that anymore. Unless you play for certain teams. No, I'm just messing with you. So it's just harder to find those types of guys. But our when I signed guys, the first thing to do is figure out if they can run. If they couldn't run, I didn't sign them. We gave them a conditioning test first day.
Okay.
I ran a bunch of 300s, and it's the first time in 16 years that every single player made it. So I thought, okay, good. And so for me, it's a race, because you're looking at the amount of snaps that these guys are playing on both sides of the ball. And, unfortunately for Carolina and Jacksonville, they have no bye weeks. They're playing back to back to back to back to back to back. And at some point, when you have a bunch of old veterans, that stuff starts to wear on you. That's a lot of hits. These guys are too big and too athletic and too strong sometimes to be able to take that kind of wear and tear all the way into July. We're in May right now. So, it's kind of who's the last man standing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of management. For you guys, at least, you're one of the 4 teams that has bye weeks. You talk Jacksonville, Carolina, we've been wondering ourselves, like, a sport like this, you have to manage your guys more when you're doing week after week after week, more banging and bruising. There's no time off, and that's fascinating I think, to see how that dynamic plays out for the playoffs here, especially, like I said, yourself, you get a time off. Yeah, you took a week off, you said, for that bye, but like that gets people off their feet. That gets people to relax a little bit, take the tension away from maybe the last time you guys out on the floor. So, and you get to go home, and
Right.
I mean, even if it's against Albany, but you get to go home, at least you get to be in front of that crowd and all that. I don't mean to steal another question from Jim, but this came up just thinking about, we're talking Ironman. So early season was kind of some of the processes of getting guys in and out a little bit slower. There seemed like there were some challenges, getting the system down on either the officiating side or even on the team sides. I mean, through your first 3 games, does that feel like that's speeding up to you, that process? They're getting things down, or is there still some challenges for that right now?
To be honest with you, I haven't. We haven't had any issues from our at all. To be honest with you, I've watched some of the other games and I've seen guys trying to figure out who's in and who's out, but it hasn't slowed the game down. There's been other factors slowing the game down. I'm not going to say it. I'm not trying to get fined.
Sure. I mean, yeah, we're not going to push you that direction. We'll take that.
But the leagues, doing a really good job of working on that to fix that. Because at the end of the day, it's about entertainment, and you can't keep people 3.5 hours. You can't keep an NFL game 3.5 hours. We got to get these games at 2:45. Things like that. We got to get things moving. We got to, shorten these half times up. If you don't have a halftime show and you're not making money at halftime, why do you have a 20-minute halftime? Please cut that out. It just doesn't make any sense. We're here to entertain fans, and the players want to make more money. I want to make more money. The owners want to make more money. And the only way to do that is to have people come and put butts in seats and be entertained and have a good time. So, but I like the direction of it. I think Ironman. I like Ironman, even though we voted against it. I do agree with Chris. I think it creates personalities. When people go to the games right now, so many players flip flop based on who's going to pay them the most next year. You got the same guys that just keep. It's almost like the CFL. The CFL had a different coach at the same different team for year after year, and then the same quarterbacks just kept rotating. But I think fans went to the games because they liked the logo on the helmet. Well, now all of a sudden you see a Jarmon Fortson who's out there intercepting, fumble returns, tackling, kicking. You see Darius Prince out there doing on both sides of the ball. You see, there's a bunch of them. Devin's all of a sudden killing it at the MAC. Or at the Jack linebacker. There's a lot of really good players now that are going both ways that are starting to create a name for themselves. They're starting to create a brand. And the players, I don't think some of the players understand what they're actually setting themselves up for down the road, or what they're actually setting up future players down the road, is creating a brand of who you are. So people, no one's ever heard of Darian Townsend, but after our first game, he runs a kickoff back, he has an interception, scores 2 touchdowns. People are like, holy cow, who's Darian Townsend? And so they want to know who they are. And so I like that. And I think it's important. And I think there's 2 or 3 players on each team that the fans are really starting to gravitate to. And now it's like the NFL. I could care less about the Buccaneers, but I won't watch Tom Brady. And I think that maybe we're creating that too, I hope.
Nice. I think you are. I think like Forston, I'm glad you brought him up. Already, beginning of the season was already Ironman of the year right out of the gate for you guys,
Right.
And I love that aspect of it, because of the fact that, we've talked with the commissioner ourselves too. And that's the same deal. He's laid down that thing. It creates a brand of football that's our own, and it stars for that brand. It's not just a football player. It's an Ironman, an arena player, that's
Right.
what it used to be, now it's trying to bring that back. And I see that, I never saw Ironman. I got into this late, I got to see the specialist era. And so now I'm getting that for the first time, and it's making me enjoy the game more than I thought I even enjoyed it at that point. I love arena as it is. So,
well, you think about the Barry Wagners of the world and all those guys that I grew up, playing with, but also watching. They're just an elite athlete, and I like it because it changes our brand a little bit, because, again, no disrespect, but there's so much football out there on TV. There's NFL, yes, and USFL and XFL, and give me another letter for the alphabet. And so there's so many of them out there that do people I like the arena style. I like the Iron Man. I like the basketball. Whoever has the ball last is going to win. That's how it needs to be. We got to continue to push our game to where it is 77-72, 61-60. You can't have these games we had in the past, or even if you look at some other leagues, no names, it's just outdoor football inside. Well, people already have that. Why are we different? What makes us different? How can we create that niche? And I think it'll get there.
Nice.
Coach, let's get on to the brighter side of things. You guys have a promotion coming up for your Columbus Lions where fans can call the first offensive play.
Yeah.
Are you looking for an offense coordinator? Because me and Zach can come right here.
Well, I tell you what,
Yeah.
after the last game we just put up on offense, I might have to just hand it over to somebody full time. I don't know. I need to get off the schneid. So.
What brought that idea up to get fans more involved, especially actually playing, making the calls for your offense?
Look, it's I want people engaged. I want people to come to the game, have a good time, and go to work on Monday morning and say, "Oh my God, I went to the Lions game. It was so much fun. You're not going to believe it. I got to get on the field." We go in the arena every day, so I go there every day for work. I'm in the facility. It's not a big deal for me. But if you're never in that building and you get to walk down on the turf or walk underneath the tunnel or go in the locker room, it's a big deal. And so I wanted to create that, and I've done that in the past. We used to do that promotion a couple of years ago. And, Columbus is a very special place, and it's got really some diehard fans, and I want to give people that experience. And as I get older, the me kick the living out of you kind of, it's still there, don't get me wrong, but I kind of really want to do stuff for Columbus and have a good time and create memories and create a fan experience and actually make a difference and do something, not just football wise. And it was just a fun promotion, man. It's just a fan experience. And we had the Savannah Bananas come in here, I think, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Good God, it's the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. And, it sells. So I've got that experience. We did another fan experience. I'm going to let somebody ride on the bus with the team and give them a hotel room and let them come to the pregame meal and access the locker room. And again, it's like behind the lines. You see that stuff, the everyday stuff that the average fan doesn't get, because watching the game all of a sudden sometimes is just not enough.
Yeah, get a little more access. That bus ride is that's coming up for your next Orlando Predators game.
That's a really good time. If you've never done that, we've picked up some good fans doing that. They get to see the ins and outs, and plus you get to see the human side of players. That's what you like. It's the inside the lines. You when you watch Inside the Lines and you see the Lonnie Outlaws, what a great guy, what a great character, and Ulrich Joneses and those types of people that you get to see, that they're just big kids at heart, or they're good people. And so I love being able to. I just love being able to share that experience. Arena football, as you can see behind me, has created a life for me and kids and a family. Something I never thought it was going to happen. 25 years later, I want to share it with everybody because I think it's a good sport and it creates a lot of opportunity to just entertain people.
Yeah. Hey.
I wish I could do it.
Look, I think the community of this sport's great. That's one thing that draws me a lot to it. It's a lot more tight knit. I don't know if it's just the niche nature of it or what, but like if I fall outdoor. I'm that nut that falls like the USFL, the XFL too.
Right.
And you don't get the same feeling to me as you do with arena football. I think there's just some camaraderie with that, just from the years of it going. We're underdogs, but we're gonna keep on fighting for this darn thing, because it is worth fighting for, so like stuff like, stuff like that's great,
the stories of the players.
Absolutely.
Like a lot of these players are maybe a second too slow, or they did something in their tryouts to get NFL. That's why they're in an arena game. And you realize where they come from, their backgrounds, and you follow these players. And once if they do get the NFL or the CFL or the XFL, you go, hey, he used to play for the Columbus Lions. He used to play for the Orlando Predators. You're like, I saw him grow in this game and get there. And that's one thing I liked about how Aiden did the series. You get to see the characters like a Lonnie Outlaw, which we did have on the show recently. And he's still all the praise in the world to
awesome.
Columbus. He goes, coach, he's like Gibson, Mason, Josh. I love them all. So you leave a trail to all your former players who no longer are there. They still remember you and the Columbus Lions. And just saying, that's the one thing that me and Zach love about this game, is that they're humans. and
Yeah,
they're dang good football players. They're just not the ones that you see on Sundays in the fall, but they still play the game that they love.
Mhm.
well, just like I tell guys, even when I recruit players, it's like one day you're going to be like us. You're going to sit around and you get to look back. But when football is one of those true sports that time is your enemy, and you can work the rest of your life. You can always find a job. Always you can always work, but you don't get a chance to play football and to get out there. And I love the aspect. I'm kind of old school. I like gladiator, iron sharpens iron. The biggest lion in the jungle wins the fight. I think that's just a man mentality. I don't mean to, say that anyway like that, but I love the competition. I think competition is what drives the human race. And so I think football is awesome and I love it. And to be able to do it, I think that's what I miss the most. I don't know if I really miss playing the game. I miss the grind. I miss pushing the envelope. I miss competing. I miss getting my ass kicked and then getting back up. I miss, all those things. And that's what I try to tell some of these guys that are on the fence, whether or not they're going to play or not. I'm like, guys, you're not going to be able to do this game forever.
True. When I played football in high school, I loved practice. And my coach is like, you're so excited for practice. And when I get in the game, they're like, where you been, dude? I'm like, okay, I had an off game. He goes, that's 4 weeks now, the off game. but I go to practice and like, we have to start you. They're good enough to start. I'm like, oh, maybe they're watching film at practice and know how to stop me. But I know how it feels, coach. Is like, I wanted to, like, I knew I wasn't NFL type. I didn't have that mentality. My goal was like get to Citadel or get to a small college like Valdosta State and go the arena route. I was diehard. I loved arena football more than the NFL when arena football was its heyday with freaking Aaron Garcia and Bonner and all of them. And I was like, I'm going to play arena football. Then I suffered an injury in high school and I couldn't recover from it. But yeah, you don't miss the game until it's gone. And mine happened in high school. So I never went back to it because my injury was just too bad to recover from. So yeah, I understand that fate. So
yeah. Hey, high school was my end track too. So I'll lay that out there for those people. Same deal, ended in a semifinal for a sectional back in Indiana. So, it is what it is. I'm glad I get to use this though. And, talking with you, this is my avenue for getting back in there and, try to enjoy the sport. Maybe the mega fan, maybe the journalistic side of it. I take the joys out of that and getting to talk with folks like yourself, Coach. And I get that competitive nature there. I felt practice in my way, like you're saying, it was to test my limits, see what I could maybe get to that next level, where I could get farther, get my development as a player at that time. So, the game days were just a result of showing that you made those strides. That was the thing,
right?
Like the final piece of the puzzle of that. For you guys, for yourself, you talk competition, like we've been hinting at. You got Albany coming up this week. Let's transition to that. What are some keys you're looking at? Like we've talked, I'll say it again, like we mentioned in this show with you, there's teams like yourself, Ironman specific build. And then there's guys like the Albanys or even the Carolinas, where it's very much a lot of loaded talent, keeping that in order, switching those guys out when needed. What do you look at when you think of Albany this year, looking them coming into the jungle? What are you looking at for that contest?
Well, you said it best. Just loaded with talent. Loaded. When you look at Cornelius Lewis, he's one of the best. They're a great guy too. Just a great player. And Darius Prince, great player. And then Jabari Gorman and Hollis. And, the list, Markel Wade, they just picked up Markel Wade. That was a really good pickup. Nick Hagg's a good pickup. And, Calvin France. They basically signed the who's who was of everybody else's team and brought them all to Albany. Right. So sure makes it easy to you got a bunch of veterans on your team, makes it easy. So that's good. It's good. That's the hard part of it on our end, is because you got guys that understand the game. That's the biggest thing for a rookie is picking. We got a great rookie on our team, really good rookie. And once he figures out the arena game, he's going to be one of the best in the league. And eventually somebody will come outbid me and try to get them up there. So I look at it as I do a lot of recruiting for everybody else. And then when I can't afford them, they come steal them. So
the pipeline, quote unquote.
You know what? You just go find more. But that's what I try to tell people. Just go find more. There's so many football players out there. You can find them anywhere. You just got to find them. You got to put the work in. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but they got a great roster. I love their kicker, man. He's got a great leg.
Yes.
Great leg, but he's kicking white balls this week. We don't have any brown balls left. They're all white. So good luck with that. Maybe he can kick them. Maybe he can. I don't know. Let's find out. Has anybody made a deuce with a white ball?
Ooh, not that. Yeah, I've seen it.
Nope.
If he hasn't seen it, I think that's a big fat zero.
No, they're all white balls in Columbus, man.
Makes it at least unpredictable. You're not sure what's going to happen once the foot hits that.
Plus the scoreboard's extra low. So.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. I remember a good conversation actually with Craig Peterson on the side with a different show I did at the time.
Yeah.
That was the same deal. I remember him saying like, yeah, with arena, you gotta make sure if it's like scoreboard's right there, it's gotta be like a beamer straight line kicks.
Yeah, you got
the hardest ones to get down.
We did that
control.
one year. The scoreboard was real low. I can't remember the kicker. I can't remember who it was. Man, he put that sucker on the right side and he hooked it every single. He must have made 4 or 5 deuces. I'm like, man,
like he curved the ball.
He did a great job, man. He's really good. But no, I mean, Darius Prince is just, he's elite NAL players. So obviously he's the catalyst. That was our game plan in the Albany game, in the championship game, was, not let Darius beat us, and he didn't, but Malachi did.
Right.
Malachi's not there. So I don't know, but Darius is obviously, and that's what we try to do. We try to identify what we can and can't stop. I'm not saying we can stop. We ain't gonna stop Darius Prince. That's a fact. So he's gonna get his. I just don't want to get like 10 of them. And so you look at that, but also you look at the travel and different things like that. So they have a really, really good roster. It would be a very difficult game for us to pull this one out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tough one. I mean, we saw last week against Jacksonville, even with flight issues or not, like it definitely was its own thing. I wasn't pointing at you, Jim. I saw you do that. I'm just saying, but
you've killed me multiple times in this show, Zach.
Wasn't trying.
Well, I mean, if you notice, it's kind of a trend going on right now. The road teams are kind of struggling.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, I don't know, or the teams that are playing at home are just having a lot of success at home. Now, I hope that continues. My game plan, as long as I've been coaching, is you go undefeated at home and 50% on the road. If I can do that, it's a good season. That's how I've always played it. So we always try to make sure we play well at home and use the crowd to our favor and all that stuff. So hopefully that'll give us, a little bit of an edge, because we're definitely going to need it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think that's a good philosophy with, the arenas are a little more personal and fans can get up close and more into your head, I think, as a player too. That's not a spite at fans. That's just that people are rowdier, I think, in arena than outdoors as well. So I understand that completely. One thing I think people are going to be wondering, I'm not going to have you, obviously you do what you please with this question, of course, because it is a strategy thing too. How are you approaching the QB situation this week, or are there any updates with like out of the bye that you got? I know you can't, I don't want to have you give too much a game plan or anything, but like anything I guess you'd like to share, this would be your chance here. Or not. See, I can tell. Like,
look, it doesn't matter. They're both good. If you can't protect, I could put Tom Brady back there. It wouldn't matter. Okay. So we got to make sure we have that shirt up fixed first, which we will. We'll do a good job with that. And I can control some of that as well. Now, I can't give you that away, but, I can control the sacks. I can control, on my end, if you can get a sack or not, to believe it or not. It's just, I was being a little greedy in the Jacksonville game, and it kind of came back to haunt us. So it doesn't matter. I've got an offense ready for Danny, and I got an offense ready for Darren, and we're well prepared to go with either one of them, just depending on, how practice plays out, how Darren's knee plays, how Danny picks it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, the key for us, not really the quarterback play. I think we'll be there. I'm going to put a lot of that. I'm going to put a lot of the success this week really on me. I'm not going to put it on the players. It's my job to make sure that, look, all the players in the league are really good. I just have to make sure we put them in a position to be successful. So I didn't do that 2 weeks ago. I set them up for failure. They did the best they could, but I'll fix it.
Okay.
Oh, Coach, before we let you go, anything going on in Columbus this weekend for promotion-wise or ticket-wise to get the fans to get into the building, especially against a big opponent of Albany coming to town?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's Memorial Weekend, and the league needed a game, and guess what? We happen to have an open date. We got stuck with it. So it could be tough, but it could not be tough. I was just talking with some people, and a lot of people aren't going out of town because gas is $5 a gallon. So it's kind of hard to go anywhere when it's going to cost you a mortgage payment to go. So I don't know what the crowd's going to be like. We're just starting to do a lot of new things. Of course, we got a Lions Walk we do outside. We got a high school band that's really cool called the All-Star Band, kind of like a mix between Grambling and Central. And I mean, they're just really good kids. They're really good, and they play outside. And we actually exit the arena and go through the tailgate, walk through it, and they play music, stuff like that. It's Cancer Awareness Night by Aflac. That's always a given. We got specialty jerseys. We'll auction them off. Of course, everybody does that. Got a motorcycle crew coming out front, bringing about 30, 40 motorcycles just for the people to look at. We got bounce houses out front of the arena, just trying to make it fun, trying to create stuff and, have a really good game. Our fans aren't right now, with Albany being so new, I don't think they look at the schedule and go, oh my gosh, Albany is coming in town. It's not like it is with Jacksonville right now. When Jacksonville comes in town, everybody's not going to miss that game. I mean, I'll be walking in the grocery store and people, hey, Coach, man, I them damn Sharks, man. I can't wait to come to the game Saturday. And so, it's good to have rivalries, and I want those rivalries with Albany and Carolina, because I want our fans to look at the schedule like an Auburn fan does and says, hey, we're playing Georgia this week. Hey, we're playing LSU this week. Or are they gonna look at the schedule and go, oh, we're playing Georgia Southern Community College. And so for me, we got to figure out a way to create those rivalries and create that excitement with all the teams. And so that's why I like the fact that we had the same teams come back. So now they're recognizing teams on the schedule. So, oh, okay, yeah, Albany Empire. Yeah, that's right. They won it last year. We'll go to that game. And so that's what we're trying to create.
Yeah. Well, that also goes to your league health thing too. I mean, teams are around more seasons go by, kind of fan base you continue to grow, or you get ones that are more, they recognize it. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the best leagues I was ever in was the PIFL. I enjoyed it. It was, the Richmond Raiders, Huntsville, and Nashville, us. I mean, it was the same teams, same owners, same coaches, same quarterbacks for 3 to 4 years. And so people recognized, it wasn't the constant merry-go-round of people just flip-flopping and, just different teams popping up. So to be able to keep the longevity of our teams over and over and over again. Plus, we got teams in good spots too. I mean, people want to go to Orlando. They want to go to Jacksonville. I got fans ready to go to Albany, trying to get plane tickets to go to Albany game. We had a whole bunch go to San Antonio. So you create those destinations. Columbus is very slowly becoming a pretty unique destination with the whitewater rafting and all the things you can do in Columbus. Right. It's actually, in the great food. So you start creating those destinations where fans can travel and they feel really a part of it. I think I took some ticket orders the other day for some fans from Orlando coming up for the July 23rd game. So that's exciting. I got a bunch of fans wanting to go to Orlando. So I'm all about the league. I want to win, but at the sacrifice of the league being terrible or it folding, I'd rather have the league be successful. But
well, Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. Honestly, plenty of stuff to take home, and as always, we love talking with you. You got so much you give us that we can discuss on the league and you guys in Columbus as well. We wish you the best. And for those listening in, especially if you're a Columbus fan or someone that's tuning in for the first time to this show, remember they're playing this weekend. If you're free Memorial Day weekend, 7:00 Eastern time there at the Columbus Civic Center, taking on the Albany Empire. Again, the former championship team as well. So, it's like Coach Gibson saying here, it's going to be a good matchup.
We need to win. It's not much of a rivalry if we haven't won a game yet. At some point we got to win a game. It's not, like I said, it's not a rivalry. So we got to fix that. But I appreciate what you guys do. It's really good for the league. You got a great show. So you got a great show, and I really enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Have a good one.
All right.
Yep. Appreciate it. And guys, be sure to tune in for our next edition next Thursday here. Remember, we got tomorrow. We're going to be doing our final walkthrough where we'll talk about that game again with Columbus taking on Albany, of course, in the jungle, along with others. Be sure to follow the Columbus Lions on social, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow us on social, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at InWallsPod. Follow at Columbus Lions for the Lions as well. For Coach Jason Gibson, for my co-host Jim Renier, I'm Zach Kylman saying so long. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next week. We'll have another league personality, coach, player. It's going to be a good one. And this is it for our edition of Turf Talk.